name's Jordan Marcus, bear with me here, public speaking is not my forte, and I wasn't planning on speaking, but, point of clarification and a question I had, we're using, you guys, or the commissioners that were here, used historical evidence to determine that 11.8 miles. And now we're using a law that came into effect many years later, and a road that didn't exist at the time. Can we do justice by these property owners and the citizens of your county by not measuring the road that existed at the time in the historical evidence and determining mileage on a road that wasn't even there, and using a law that applies to the new road and the gate that's currently there, but somehow it doesn't apply to the old road? I wasn't here for your guys' investigative process, but it would seem that mileage would apply with the historical evidence to the road that was there, not the gravel road that's currently there. And I've been down that road, and I'm sure you guys have.
And I had heard at one point the landowners up there, I think it was Jess Cox, came in and told me about this road. And he said that easement for that old road was actually shown on some properties through there. And at one point he had told me, or he had indicated that was gonna be like measured and delineated, so there was an exact length if you pieced all those parcels together and say, here's what that length is. I guess one problem would be is it doesn't seem like we can necessarily agree on where the Alta post office sat, and as Jay discussed earlier, I mean, it's like here, so that may be one problem, but I thought that was gonna happen, that old road bed that I heard you can still see in some cases, you can measure that, and I thought that was gonna be done, provided as evidence at some point. But
Yeah, I think it would be difficult at best to justify removing a gate that's on a road that wasn't even there at the time.
Well, to answer your second question, if I may.
Go ahead.
You were asking about justice for these folks, and I guess I can't, I'll say it again. I don't think it's not for nothing that the gate's still standing.
No,
All these
understand
many months later, that we obviously have an interest in allowing these folks to do take whatever legal means they need to feel like justice is being served. And I guess that's maybe just a real polite way or an around the bush way of saying that it's kind of on them to determine their next step in their journey towards that justice. We've done what we believed was legal and right, and we possibly even jeopardized our own legal situation by not removing the gate in the hopes that they feel like they've had every opportunity that's available to them to get their facts and their information and what they believe is right out there.
I understand what you're saying, and I can't speak for the family, but I'm sure they appreciate the gate still there. But that goes back to the court decided that you guys determined 11.8 miles is a correct distance, and you did it the correct way to find that distance. But did you lay that distance out in the correct spot?
I don't know if you could call that the $64 question or not, but I don't think anybody sitting in here right now, this is what I'm getting out of this conversation that we're having and out of this meeting, is that there's nobody in this room that can say that foot for foot, inch for inch, this is where that road was. You've taken the best information we've gotten to determine the length of that road, both historically and as it now exists. And I think that's the best we can do. It's the best they can do. They've done a lot of research. I still am not convinced where exactly the old post office was, personally.
And then I would pose a question, I guess, probably to your counsel. at least to my understanding as a layman, doesn't the burden of proof lie on the government, not the citizen? Why are we taking another step? Why do they have to take another step when the burden of proof lies on this body?
And when you say that's what the courts
an
looked at
ordinance
when they
there.
made their I mean, I would guess that's what district court and the Montana Supreme Court looked at was, did these guys provide that burden of proof through their process and through their facts that they made the right decision?
Well, and my rebuttal to that would be, at least from what I read, and I could be incorrect, but, the opinion was that the distance was correct, but is there any location that says the location is correct? in that
That's,
decision?
I mean, that could have been the attorneys on the other side arguing that as facts in the case, that you didn't mark it in the right spot, and here's the spot that it should have been marked.
That's what we're talking about here though, because we're talking about historical evidence of a road that existed at the time that you guys didn't have access to for whatever reason. It's unfortunate. But there's some clear evidence here that when the surveys were done, there's roads on other surveys. Why aren't they marked on these surveys for these properties we're discussing here?
Well, I think one thing to remember is that we're not trained professional jurists,
I understand.
and we were given an abundance of information, not all of it in agreement with the rest of it, and we tried to sort through it and put it in line with what, lack of a better term, made sense, followed some sort of sensible conclusion, and we drew that conclusion. I think part of the reason we haven't removed the gate is because we recognize that we're not professionals in making these decisions. And we were hoping if we got it wrong, the courts would tell us where we got it wrong and correct our mistake. And
Not that we assume that we're wrong,
No.
but giving these folks a benefit of the doubt, which to me, this not being a courtroom, you know, you kind of threw a broad blanket statement out there about the government, you know, having the burden of proof. That might be, it is for a fact when we're talking about a courtroom, when we're talking particularly about criminal law. But in this particular instance, I think that you know, one of the pieces of misinformation that stuck in my craw about this is that this is some kind of taking on the government's part. We're taking somebody's land, and I strongly disagree with that.
Those words never came out.
No, I'm not saying they came out of your mouth, I'm saying that's been out there though, and everybody's kept up with all of the, you know, you said triggered, it wasn't triggered, I just think it was dead wrong. And that's what was out there, is that this is some kind of taking. It's not, there's a road that exists. And we come full circle back to the main point, that is nobody knows exactly foot for foot or inch for inch if that road is exactly what it was in 1900. Nobody knows that, so.
I think we can obviously say it wasn't.
I guess I could conclude with two closing questions. One would be, I understand when it's been gone over a myriad of times at this meeting that you guys don't have the authority to reverse your decision at this hearing. And you open yourself up to legal action, and you've talked about interests outside of your county being involved. I would say that legal action would come from those interests outside of your county, and can we agree on that?
Well, I would hope it would come from the landowners who's direct.
I mean, if you don't take the gate out.
Well, I don't know about that, because we've got citizens here that are, for whatever reason, interested in it, but I think it's fair to say that, yeah, potentially there are some non-governmental organizations that would be involved in it. Might be a governmental organization.